Please be advised that Little Miss Recap contains adult language. So now in 1996, Shauna, I feel seen here, is angrily writing in her journal, which is something Amy Archer did all the time. And in lunch classes, I was sitting by myself, I'd be like, these bitches. Hi everyone, welcome to Little Miss Recap, the podcast where if you want to disappear, you can't Google yourself.
These are things I never thought about before this show, and now
Thank you,
I know.
Jeff.
Yes, thanks, Jeff, for that life hack. Also, I loved how he said, yeah, it's not as easy as they make it look on television, Callie. I want to be like, you are on television? But we can't talk about that.
Jeff 100% Googles himself.
He Googles himself on the reg. He absolutely does.
Just to relive the clips of his senior year football victories.
Yes.
That were in the paper.
He's a sad sack who's still living in the past. And he's, well, he couldn't Google himself in the past because there was no Google. But yeah, he absolutely does Google himself on the reg.
I Google myself. I don't Google myself, but I do have a Google alert set for myself.
Do you?
Yes, because you never know when like a book review is going to pop up.
Yeah, you have real reasons to have people to keep track of yourself because people could be saying things about your books and your writing.
They could be trashing me, and I feel like I want to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have Googled myself. I went through a whole period where I got really insane about Googling myself when I was starting to date because I wanted to figure out ways that
what people
could
know.
What people would know and how people could find if people could find where I lived. Like, what information did you have to find my address?
Yeah.
Because as a single person living alone, it made me nervous. So I wanted to.
I will tell you that where I live, unfortunately, all of that information is public access, which it normally is.
Yeah.
However, most counties make you work for it. Like you got to go down there, you got to pay a fee, blah, blah, blah. Not mine. It's like, there it is. Yeah. Here's what you paid for your house. Here's where it is. You know, yeah.
I mean, I do enjoy the Zillow stalking that I've done of people when they tell me they buy a house.
Of course.
Immediately, I'm like, okay, first of all, I want to know what it looks like. And then I want to know what you paid for it because I'm just nosy.
I'm on Zillow 24/7 anymore.
I get so many emails from Zillow.
Yes.
For different areas. I get them for Seattle. I get them for different parts of Philadelphia. I get them for rando places that I'm like, I don't know why you're sending me ads for here, but maybe I want to go live there. I don't know. Maybe Zillow knows something I don't know about where I want to live.
Oh, I didn't even start the show properly. Okay, so I'm Amy Archer. I'm your host, guys. And I
feel like if you've been listening to Yellowjackets, they've figured out who we are. But yes, we should have a proper intro.
I have with me the amazing Amanda Lipnack-Radel with a brand new haircut.
New haircut. Yes, all part of the post-wedding. I'm in my 50s. I'm trying to give less of a fuck.
Well, and from what I understand, giving less of a fuck, you've signed up for some exciting classes.
I have. So I'm a trier. That's something to know about me. I'm a signer up trier. I have done like fitness boot camps out of nowhere. I one time did a trampoline fitness class, which for a woman with large breasts and a chronic back injury was a poor choice.
I was going to say, I could never go anywhere near a trampoline. We should have renamed this podcast Women with Large Breasts and Women with Large Breasts.
After about 2/3 of the class, I actually got up off the trampoline and the instructor's like, you're doing great. And I'm like, no, I'd like to walk tomorrow. And I can tell one more bounce and I will not be walking tomorrow. So I'm a trier. So I've been taking a burlesque class.
That's exciting.
It is exciting. It is fascinating. So it's in Philadelphia. So it's like in kind of a little, I don't want to say a seedy part of Philadelphia. It's what used to be a very seedy part of Philadelphia, but it's gritty. I mean, Philadelphia is a gritty city anyway. It is a gritty city because we have gritty, but
yes,
it is also a gritty city.
So bizarre, but yes.
Oh my God, we are obsessed with gritty in our house. There was I tried to get gritty for our wedding.
You guys are obsessed with gritty in that city.
Yes, we are. But I actually tried to get gritty for our wedding. Okay. You can get the Philly Fanatic for like $500.
Okay.
Gritty starts at $3,000.
Oh, okay. No.
$500 gritty would have been at our wedding.
Okay.
As a surprise to Todd, and it would have been the best money ever spent because he would have lost his mind. Anyway, so burlesque, I signed up for like a 3-class intro. I'm the oldest one there. I'm the largest one there, and I'm not very good at it, and I'm having such a good time.
I love this. I love this for you.
I do too. And so I signed up for like a longer class. It's 6 or 7 sessions. And then we have a show that we have to do in her studio.
Yes.
Like where we can invite guests.
Oh my God. Are you inviting Todd?
Of course. And then we get 2 seats each. So I'm not sure who my second person will be.
Cody and Robin.
My God. That would be amazing. Oh my God, can you imagine
How uncomfortable
Robin in a
would they
burlesque
be?
class? Oh my God, she would be so scandalized. Oh, did you buy that at Victoria's Secret? Would you like to borrow my credit card? No. Yeah, there's nothing at Victoria's Secret that fits these large breasts, so it doesn't really matter.
Neither, girl.
Yeah, again, big-breasted women.
Yep.
That's our podcast.
Yep. I hear your plight.
But it's so much fun, and I told Todd, he's like, wait, so you're inviting me to go to a dance class where I get to watch my wife and other sexy women dance provocatively? I mean, I guess I could go. That's fine.
Sure.
You're going to make me.
I guess I have nothing better to do.
Twist my arm. Like
No, that's amazing.
I have to buy shoes and costumes and stuff. I don't know. I can report back what happens.
Yeah, report back.
It's fun though.
I am a trier, but not with physicality, if that makes sense. So like I will take any fucking art class, writing class, speech class, any kind of class. But exercise class, I don't know.
Yeah, I
don't know.
I've done,
and it's not that I'm like feel weird about it. I'm just not into it.
Yeah, I actually took an improv class in the fall.
Now, see, I would love to do that.
That was a ton of fun as well, and I'd like to take another one of their classes too. Again, all this stuff is in Philly, and now that I live in, the sticks of Bucks County, it's more of a hike than it used to be, but still well worth it. And improv is really fun too.
Cool. I would love to do improv.
It's great. It's great. And you learn a lot, and it helps. Both of these things help with your confidence and your ability to just kind of like jump to do things quicker.
Yep.
And
that's what really I love. Like I can't stop going to school because I just love it so much. I mean,
I would love to go to graduate school. I don't know what I want to go for. I was talking the other day. So I go to a Unitarian church. I'm an atheist, humanist, Unitarian. Sure, we'll go with that. We'll throw out a lot of words to try to say nothing. But I periodically consider going to seminary.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Because I love religion and I love the history of religion.
Slap that out of you.
No. Like I want to go to a Unitarian seminary. Like I'm not gonna.
Okay.
I'm never going to become a super. I'm not Christian. I will never become Christian. It's just not my belief.
All right.
I'm good.
No
shame on Christians.
But,
yeah, it's not me.
It's not for us.
Me. No, it is not for us. But I think it would be very interestingly received by my family on both sides that if I were going to go to seminary. My father freaked out when I started going to a Unitarian church because he's Jewish and he was so afraid I was going to become like a born again Christian. I'm like, it's not going to be a thing. You don't have to worry about this. Yeah. Again, no shade to people who are. Live your life, be happy. It's just not for me. I've been in a church
since I don't know. I probably went for a wedding or something, but I haven't been to a church like really since I got married the first time, which was 2001. I got married 3 days before 9/11. I should remember.
Okay, that. You should. Yeah, it's an easy one to remember.
It's an easy one.
Todd is Jewish, and so I've gone to synagogue with him. We got married at his synagogue. But I go to this Unitarian church, but doesn't look like a church. Like in New England, Unitarian churches look like old churches. Yeah. Ours is like an old ladies' auxiliary building in Westchester.
It's like an old car dealership.
Not far from it. It's an old ladies' auxiliary that for the longest time just had a stage.
Yeah.
So it really looked like more of a theater than we've done a ton of renovations.
What they do, what we tend to do here is old movie theaters have started becoming churches. Which I'm all about, like a church that teaches people to love one another and really, be good to each other. I'm all about that.
The primary tenet of Unitarian Universalism is we respect the inherent worth and dignity of all people. Like,
there you go.
Yeah, cool. I'm in. Sign me up. That sounds great.
All right. Are we ready to go into the wilderness?
We are. This was a shocking episode.
This was a shocking episode. Let me just tell everybody, we are going to be back next week with a wrap up. For season 2. We may have a special guest. I'm not saying who it is. But Amanda and I will definitely be here next week to just kind of say, okay, because one of the things I want to do with this podcast is when season 3 comes out, I want you guys to have a season 2 refresher that is there
Yep.
waiting for you so that you don't have to rewatch all of season 2. So next
no
week,
one ever has to rewatch episode 6.
yes,
Basically,
there you go.
we're trying to
Next week
save the people.
we'll be covering, maybe 5 to 10 big moments from the season and talking about what they meant and just, what happened in general. And I'm excited to do that.
I am too. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely. Okay. So today we are covering Yellowjackets Season 2, Episode 9, Storytelling. What did you think of it on the whole?
It was quite good, but it felt a little too fast.
I agree.
I felt like they were trying to do way too much in an hour. Like, this is where it's obvious that they probably wrote a 10-episode season and somehow just shove it into 9. Yes. I don't know.
I agree with you. I was thinking at the end of this, I was like, okay, everything's really wrapped up neatly with the bow here. But I felt like I wanted to see more of Walter solving that issue. I wanted to see like a lot more of things, and we didn't. And I'm like, here's where we needed that episode.
And I felt like I wanted more of the 5 of them in the present and this hunt and talking more about, but I guess that's the point. We're still not supposed to truly understand all of the rules of the hunt.
Right.
We're getting more and more details of what this is, but we don't know all the details yet. I felt like they wrapped up the adult storyline a little too well. So I'm like, where are we going in season 3?
Okay, so I have a theory about that.
Okay.
And we'll talk about it at the end.
Okay.
Because that's what I want to ask you at the end. Like, what do we do in season 3? And we'll talk about that more too in the recap that we do next week.
We can start, guessing what they're going to do.
I think I see a possible storyline.
Okay, cool.
Okay. All right. So we open, we're going to start in the wilderness, guys. And let me just tell you, this episode delivered with the fucking music. Oh my God.
Oh my God. This was so good.
It was so good.
Yeah.
Now, I will say the song that played at the very end, Killing Moon, I'm not familiar with that song.
Oh, that's one of my all-time favorite songs.
Yeah, I don't know that song
so much. Did you ever see the movie, what was it called, Gigi, that had Are
you talking about Geely with Jennifer Lopez?
No. Okay. That was terrible. No, not that one. And at first I was thinking it's Jennifer Lopez. No, it's the woman who was married to Brad Pitt and Billy Bob Thornton. Angelina Jolie. She plays this supermodel in it's a true story. I want to say she was from Italy or someplace. I don't know. Maybe it took place in New York. I don't even remember. But she was a supermodel who also had a really bad drug addiction. She winds up overdosing and dying, if memory serves. It's a very good movie. But this song, it's a real happy, fun time. But the song "Killing Moon" is in it a lot.
Okay.
And so I always think of that. But I love that song.
I don't know that song. But
you
will learn as we podcast together more and more that I have a real narrow scope of music.
And that's fine. And I appreciate the fact that you picked up the Leonard Cohen thing. I did not, but I knew Buffy St. Marie. Yes. Who you did not. So I
did not know Buffy St. Marie. Yeah. We'll get there. Okay. So we open on one of my all-time favorites, Zombie by the Cranberries. I was like, this is perfect. The only thing is I wanted it longer and I wanted that walk through the woods longer. Like they did with Something in the Way. Like I just wanted to play longer. If that makes sense.
Agreed. Okay. I wanted to see the process of what did they do? How did we get him from on the ice to tied up to a thing and they're all marching in with him? I love the Cranberries. I was devastated when Dolores O'Riordan died.
Yes.
I'm really sad I never got to see them live.
I love the Cranberries as well.
Yeah.
So Nat is walking back to the cabin and she's kind of out in front. And Travis is so happy to see her. He's like, Natalie, because don't forget, she was going to be dead.
Right. He thought she was. And just the look on her face of that moment of him just realizing, or her realizing she has to tell him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
And he goes on a real roller coaster.
Oh, he does.
Yay, Natalie, you're alive too. Oh, fuck, my brother's on a spit. Like, it's real dark. So the rest of the day.
Spit. That's a big emotional jump.
And Natalie tells him, it happened so fast, the wilderness chose. And he grabs Hobby and he's sobbing, no. So now we see Lottie is still recovering. This whole thing with Lottie and Misty, it was
Mhm.
wild. So
Mhm.
Lottie is still recovering. Misty comes up to see her. And Misty tells Lottie about Javi. And she's like, we're going to eat Javi.
Yep.
Like, we're
Hubby's
just going to eat
dinner.
him. Mhm. So Misty tells Lottie what they did. She says, I told the others what you said about not wasting you, but we need you. So we chose someone else. She tells them how they were drawing cards to decide who they would eat. And Misty says, this is what you wanted, Lottie. And Lottie, like, vehemently, I can never say that word, vehemently, right?
Vehemently.
Denies this. I could type it out, I could use it, but I can't fucking
Okay,
say it
that's
because
fine.
it has that weird
I
H.
It does. I think Lottie was so appalled by this.
Yes, which I think I'm back on my theory. I think
Yeah.
I'm back on my train of
Yeah.
Lottie is not evil.
No, I don't think she's evil. I think she's nuts.
I
I don't
think
think she's
she's
evil.
nuts, and I think Misty has created this persona. It's like the
Mhm.
Wizard of Oz all over again.
Yeah.
Misty is the
Yeah.
man behind the curtain,
Misty is
right?
controlling all of this,
Would she
saying
be the
it's
man behind the curtain? Do I have that metaphor
Misty is the
right?
man behind the curtain. Lottie's out front. She's telling everybody
Mhm.
what no, the other way.
The
Lottie's
other
behind the curtain.
way.
Misty's in
Yes,
front. And
yes,
Misty's the one who's like, this is what Lottie wants. This is what Lottie
yes,
needs.
yes. I
And
think Misty created Lottie.
mm, yeah.
And I think everybody else we learn in the real time, the current time, everybody else is like Lottie's evil, the bad things happen around her, but do they?
No, bad things happen around Misty.
Yes.
Almost everyone
Yes.
who's died on this show has been around Misty.
Yeah, or she's directly killed them.
Right.
All right. So, Misty says, "You started all this," cuz Lottie's like, "I didn't mean for this. I didn't want this to happen. What are you talking about?" Misty's like, "You started this, and it's done. And I'm going to save our lives, and it's going to save our lives, so you better not start making people feel bad about it."
Mhm.
Misty, I feel like, lives by the creed that 13-year-old Amy lived by, which I used to tell myself, if you're lying about something, just make yourself believe it hard enough and you'll feel like it's true.
Ah, I
So
like
I was a
that.
little bit of a sociopath as a teenager. And I
It's
feel like
okay.
Misty is buckling down here and trying to make this true.
Misty is a bit of a sociopath,
Yeah, she is.
but she really deeply cares about these other women. Like, it's very strange. Misty
Does she
has a
care about these other women or does
I
she
think
want to
she
be seen
does.
as the savior?
I don't That's a really good question. Does Misty actually care about these people?
Like, I think she just wants to be a
She want
savior.
she just wants to be popular. She just wants
Yeah.
to be loved. At the end of the day, Misty just wants to be loved. And she
Yes.
doesn't feel loved and she doesn't feel lovable.
And I
So
think
anytime someone's
there's
nice to her, she doesn't even believe it.
And I think there's a Venn diagram, right,
Yes.
of these 2 things. So there is bleed over. And I think, like we see her really work to save Nat from killing herself.
Mhm.
So I think there might be some caring there, but a lot of it is like I need to be the hero.
Yes. She is absolutely
Yep.
the hero of her own story. And Misty has a very strict moral code. It's
Yes.
not the moral code you and I operate on by
Mm-mm.
any stretch,
Mm-mm.
but she has a really clear idea for her of what is right and what is wrong. And she
Yeah, I
really
agree with
stays
that.
very much in those lanes.
Yes. Yep, I
It's just
agree.
I hope in one of the seasons we get to find out about her family.
Oh yeah,
Because
that'd
as the
be
boys
nice.
say, something happened on the way to heaven with this woman.
Yes, yes.
Something.
So
Above and beyond just the wilderness.
Misty goes downstairs and tells everybody Lottie is pleased with the wilderness's choice.
Uh-huh.
And she says, Lottie will save us. Or Javi will save us.
Mhm.
So Shauna is called to go skin Javi or whatever it is she does. I don't know. She is the
She's the
butcher.
She is the butcher.
She's the butcher.
I
Hmm.
think the term they use, like if you went hunting and you've got a deer, you dress
You
the
would
deer
dress it.
like right.
Hmm.
She
Yep.
dressed Javi.
Yep. Ugh.
Bleh.
So Travis is sobbing and holding him, and they prep the table. And we see Shauna. She's shaking. She pulls her hat over her eyes.
She can't
This
even
is
watch what she's
difficult
about to
for her.
do. Oh
Hmm.
yeah.
So she gets to work and, she tells everyone to leave. And we have this long scene where she's trying to find his vein and then she cuts him. She's
Mhm.
trying to find his neck and she cuts him. We see the blood just running down.
Oh.
So Coach comes back, and at first he goes on a roller coaster too, because at first he's like, "Oh, they got a deer."
Right. We have food. And then like you kind of forget in that moment, Coach was not here for this party. So he has no idea what these crazy kids have been up to while he's been gone in
You
the
crazy kids.
in the forest pit somewhere.
Yep. So he's all smiles, and then he sees Javi's jeans and his sweatshirt folded on top of his sneakers. And he's like, "Oh, fuck."
What
Then
the
he
hell
runs
happened
into
here?
Nat. We don't know how, but he runs into her. And he tells her, "Look, I found a hiding place. Javi knew about it. That's where he was. The two of us could go. We could survive the winter." And he says, "Nat, you are not like the rest of these girls." And Nat says, "You don't understand. I'm worse. I let him die in my place. It should have been me." And then she says, "Coach, you're a good person and you don't belong in this place."
Yeah, we
Isn't
were
that
wondering who she
something?
said that to because we saw that clip. You don't belong in this
We
place.
thought she said it to I thought she said to Travis.
I did too. Because I feel like that's the only. It felt like that's the only person she would have that intimacy with to say that in that way.
It's so
I don't.
interesting, isn't it, that the men are like the do-gooders here
Mm-hmm.
and the girls are all,
Feral.
feral.
Yeah. And I'm kind of curious. Coach has kind of taken a liking to Nat the whole time. Like I kind of wonder what
Yes.
their coaching
Well, he
relationship was
came
like.
out to her.
Right. So they've had this intimacy. She talked to him
Yeah.
about the fact that Travis wouldn't hook up with her
Yeah, that
or
Travis
like couldn't
couldn't
get
get
it
it
up or
up, which
something.
was
Yeah, couldn't
quite
get
the
it up.
conversation to have with your male coach.
Right. But at the same time, he's the only adult in the room.
Yes,
So,
yes,
okay,
yes,
I'll give
yes.
her that. But they've always seemed to have this little secret, not secret relationship, but like
They had a
closer
bond.
relationship.
Yeah.
I wonder what their coaching relationship was like before the accident. I wonder if maybe
Yeah.
she's the only one he liked.
Isn't it funny? Like sometimes I forget these guys were student athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what was Misty like out on the soccer field?
She was the equipment manager.
Oh, she didn't play.
Right. She was the
Okay.
equipment
All right.
manager.
It's been a while since I've
Yeah.
binged season 1. Okay. That makes total sense. That
Yes.
tracks.
Because
Okay.
she's bossy and she just wants to
Because I
control
also think
everybody.
she'd be a great goalie because she'd be like just throwing herself right in front of anything that came at her.
True. But Van's the goalie.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
So inside, Travis tells Van she should be ashamed of herself. And she says, "I'm not. I'm glad I'm alive just like you are, Trav. And none of us should feel ashamed of that." And then Van says, "Let your brother save you, Travis. After all he went through out here, don't you owe him that?"
Oh.
I'm seeing a different side to Van this episode, which we'll talk about.
Van's getting a little
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now we see Coach in the tree cave trying to make a fire. And in the cabin, Shauna comes in with a plate of Javi. And his
Yes.
heart is in the middle. And Travis, they kind of, there's this ceremonial, unspoken, like Travis needs to be the one to take the first bite.
Did you not feel like there should be more meat than there was? I mean, I have no idea how much meat a human being.
Yes, I think what she's doing is keeping him in the meat shed.
Okay.
And going out like she did with the bear and getting a little bit every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But that was my thought. I was like, I thought a body would come up with more meat, but Javi wasn't big. I don't know. I don't really understand how much meat is coming off of a person. And I'm very glad about that.
There should definitely be a lot more meat.
I would think so.
And if it was me, there'd be a lot of meat.
That's right.
But I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
It'd be well marbled.
So Travis takes a bite out of Javi's heart and he throws it in the cast iron. And we hear it.
I did not enjoy that.
No, I could have done without that.
Did not enjoy that.
Then the rest of the gang grabs a piece of Javi and throws it in the cast iron as well. We see Misty bring some meat up to Lottie, and Lottie says, "I thought it wanted what was best for us. Now I'm not so sure." And Misty says, "Listen, bitch, your team needs you. Eat.
Get it together.
Get it together." So that's where we're going to leave the wilderness until the end.
Okay. Cool.
All right. So now we have current time. Lottie's still trying to make this Russian roulette happen. And Shauna's
Stop trying to make Russian roulette happen, girl.
And Shauna's like, guys, I don't know. She's like coming up with all these stall tactics. And Shauna says, "Listen, if we're going to do this right, or if we're going to do this, we got to do it right. We're going to give it a hunt. The way we used to.
Do what we did. Yep.
Yep. And Nat is like, what the fuck are you talking about, Shauna? And Shauna says, Lottie is right. It has been in us. And then Lottie runs to Shauna and they hug. And as she's hugging her, Shauna's making eyes with Ty and everyone else behind her, like, what
we're
the
not
fuck?
doing
We gotta
this.
get out of this. Yeah.
Right.
So they decide that they need masks and a deck of cards with a single queen in it. And Shauna says to Lottie, listen, go make sure all your people are gone. Like, we need them out of here. And Lottie leaves, and they're all like, okay, what are we doing?
Right. What's our plan to get out of this? By the way, I love when Melanie Linsky, because she's such a great actor. I love when you can see she's acting badly. Like,
yes.
when she was trying to be like, Lottie's right. We should really do it this way. And you, like, it's so not believable, but Lottie buys it immediately. But that's just the amazing actor skill.
So the thing about Melanie Linsky is I was maligning her 2 episodes ago where I said I thought maybe she wasn't a great actress because she's so divorced from her emotion. However, I really sat back and thought about her character on The Last of Us. Did you guys watch that?
Yep.
And it was very similar.
It was.
And I think she just plays those characters very well. The characters who need, because that character also was dealing with a ton of trauma.
Yes.
And was trying to like be the leader of this community.
Right.
So I feel like she just plays that part well, where she's divorced from her emotions. So like when they need that kind of part, they call him Melanie Linsky. Like that's just the kind of actress she is.
And she's great at it.
I would like to see her in a really emotional role.
I have a movie recommendation for you then. There's a movie called Away We Go with John Krasinski and
what? My boyfriend?
Your boyfriend. Okay. My boyfriend too. Okay. And what's her bucket? She was on Saturday Night Live. Maya Rudolph.
Okay.
Is that it?
Maya
Rudolph. Okay. I was like, I can see her perfectly. I couldn't come up with her name.
Now she's a what's her name?
She is a what's her name. John Krasinski is not a what's her name.
No.
What's his name? It's a beautiful movie about this couple who they start out at the beginning of the movie and she's pregnant and they're just basically trying to figure out where they want to live, where they want to raise this baby. And they go to all of these different places. And one of the places they go is actually Toronto. And Melanie Linsky is married to the guy that was Claire Fisher's boyfriend at the very end.
Okay. Yeah.
Coming maybe 6 feet under is just the center of our universe.
It is.
And oh my God, I love it so much too. And they had a bunch of infertility issues. And Melanie Linsky plays this beautiful role. Cannot recommend it enough.
Okay.
The movie will make you sob at the end. It's so good.
I'm going to watch that. Yeah. Maybe I'll make Timmy watch it because last night he made me watch Dungeons and Dragons. But let me tell you something. It was amazing.
We have that. I have yet to watch it.
It was so good. Chris Pine is so hilarious.
Okay.
It was great. It was really good movie.
I can give it a shot. Yeah. Away We Go is quite good. Maybe I'll make Todd watch it.
Okay.
He's never seen it.
Sounds good. All right. So they're just in the cabin like, what the hell are we going to do? Misty says, maybe we should have her committed. I mean, with her history and everything, it shouldn't be too hard. And Ty agrees. She's a danger to herself.
Absolutely. We could 5150 her in a heartbeat.
And Nat says, no way. She wanted to kill one of us. We can't just hospitalize her and call it a day. And Van is with Nat on this.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, Nat's right. So, okay, I have a problem with the timeline here.
Okay.
Because it's nighttime.
Yes.
But then we get another day.
Do we?
Yes. Because when Misty is snooping around Lottie's office and getting her phone and Walter runs, it's daytime.
Yes.
When Jeff and Callie arrive, it's daytime.
It's daytime. Yeah. And when the Keystone Cops show up, it's daytime.
Yeah. It makes no sense.
Interesting.
Because they're preparing for the hunt. It's nighttime. Nobody changes clothes.
No. And maybe they stayed up all night prepping for this. I don't know. Maybe. But I didn't even think about that. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I was real confused. So I just wrote the next day, ? We see Misty snooping around Lottie's office. She finds Lottie's pills prescribed from a Dr. Brandt. She also gets, I wrote she was going to get a gun because I thought she was going to because there's a gun right there in the safe, which
that's what I thought too.
And her phone. So now she's checking her messages. Her phone starts blowing up. Someone else comes in. It's Walter.
Yay, Walter's back. And it turns out he's not the bad guy we were afraid he was going to be.
Thank God. So
he's a psychopath, but he's not the bad guy we thought he was going to be.
So Van and Ty are making death masks, and Van's not feeling too good about this plan. Mm-mm. So the plan we learn is that they have called in a psych team, which is this a thing?
There is a crisis team, I think. Okay. But I think but my idea of that is that it's someone, like a crisis team gets called when someone's on top of a building threatening to jump.
Right.
And you bring people in to try
their friends in the woods.
Not hunting their friends in the woods, but maybe that's so rare that we don't know what the appropriate response is from the authorities.
This was weird. I don't know. So again, this is where I feel like everything was such a slow burn this season, and then they quick threw this together. So Ty says, Lottie is sick. We have to do this. And Van said, I don't think she is. We have all felt this thing, and you feel it too. And Van says, locking her up is not going to help her. We need to help her and handle it ourselves the way we always swore we would. Take care of each other like we always promised. Right. Now we have a cover of Metallica's Sad But True. I don't even know who was singing it. I don't care. This is a Metallica song in my mind.
Okay, so I did not know it was a Metallica song because I don't have the Metallica catalog in my brain. Pretty much if it's not Enter Sandman, I got nothing.
Oh, it's a great Metallica. That's a great Metallica song.
Okay.
So Sad But True's playing, and Nat and Shauna, I wrote, are dulling the knives. I think Shauna is dulling them. Right?
She's absolutely dulling the knives because you think she's sharpening them, and then she puts it against her thumb, and it doesn't cut her, and she puts it in the thing. So she's very clearly trying to render these knives useless.
Okay.
Or not as useful.
Not as useful. Because a knife can still be stabby.
It still could be stabby. Yeah. It could be stabby.
Amye Archer science. A knife could still be stabby.
Stabby. Even if it's a technical term. Stabby.
So Nat is burning the card and getting the card ready. Now we see Jeff and Callie. They're driving to Lottie's. They're panicking about what to do. Jeff says, if we try to disappear, it'll suck. We can't get our favorite takeout. We can't Google ourselves like we talked about in the beginning. Then he says, and I feel like they very clumsily wanted to put the gun here in the glove box. And it was clumsy. And that's not
it was clumsy. No. I did appreciate we won't be able to have our favorite takeout.
Yeah, I get that.
I feel that in my bones. I'm 45 minutes from where I used to live, and I can't get takeout from my favorite Chinese restaurant.
I get it.
And I miss it.
So he says, I saw your mother almost shoot someone the other day. And I wrote, they talk clumsily about the gun. Okay, we get it. There's a gun in Jeff's glove box. So they arrive at the gate and they're freaked out by some wandering cult members. I just wrote some loose cult members.
They looked like children of the corn coming out of the field.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. So they quickly back up and they look for another way in. Meanwhile, Pornstash and Kevin were right behind them. So now Nat stops by the dying purple shed to warn Lisa that something is happening and she needs to leave before she gets caught up in it.
And this Natalie clearly cares for Lisa.
This is a really sweet moment because Nat stops by the door and turns and says, I appreciate you trying to teach me forgiveness. It's a nice idea. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, because all of what Lisa was trying to teach her to Natalie are nice ideas that cannot be put into practice. Because Natalie's world is so much more fucked up than Lisa's world, even though they're in the same world.
Yes.
So if Natalie lived in Lisa's world, all of these things would work. Lisa does not live in Natalie's world, so all of these things are not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. So now it's nighttime again, and Walter is stirring something up on the stove. And
did you see it coming? I did not.
I did. I immediately knew it was poison.
I did not at all.
Because don't forget, I saw the preview and I figured he killed a cop.
Right.
So I was like, now I knew Pornstash and Kevin were there. I knew this was coming.
Okay.
So he's singing Send in the Clowns. And Kevin walks in.
I love that song.
Which, send in the clowns. And then here comes Kevin.
Here comes the clown Kevin.
So Walter plays a great naive. He's like, you're an honest to God detective?
Right, like,
I'm a citizen detective. He's like all like
have you heard of us?
fangirling.
Right. Have you heard of us? No, no
Which
one's
is
heard of you.
it's perfect because it disarms Kevin immediately.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
Kevin's like, "Oh, this is just some nerd."
Right. This
So,
is some, like, guy solving crimes in his basement with his Cheetos, which is
yes,
exactly who Walter is.
exactly. And I'm here for it. It's
Yeah, I
okay.
support this.
So he offers Kevin some hot cocoa and says, "Let me guess, you guys are here for Shauna." And he starts to tell Kevin some things about Shauna. He's
Mhm.
like, "There's a whole coven of them here. They're up to no good." So meanwhile, Callie and Jeff have found their way in, and Callie finally, someone brings up the blackmail.
Mhm.
And Callie says, I just want to remind you, all of this started because of your lame attempt at blackmail.
Yep.
And she says, I hope those, I forget what she called them, the mobsters or whatever. I hope they could get us some fake passports. I forget what she
Yes.
called them though. I didn't write down. So he says, Callie, the American family is crumbling. You try making a living in sectionals.
That made me laugh so hard. And actually, given the crumbling of the American family, a sectional is good. People can all be in the same room, but not near each
Yes.
other. It works
Yes.
out really
Yes.
well.
Yes.
I think just to come
Jeff
back
is
real quick.
totally one of these people in church on Sundays praying for the return of the American family.
Oh, sure, for sure. But I do think it's interesting what Shauna or not Shauna Callie said. All of this really did start because of Jeff.
Yep.
He put these wheels into motion. These 4 women would never have come back in 5 women would never have come back together if
Yeah.
he hadn't started the blackmail.
Yeah. Remember we talked about that a few episodes ago. We were trying to think of like how this came to be, like how they all
Mhm.
came together. And we said it had to be Jeff.
It's Jeff who started
Mm-hmm.
this whole wheel in motion. Yes, now
Yep.
Natalie and Misty may have found each other, but wait, no, did Natalie get the postcard in rehab?
I don't know where Natalie
I
got
don't
the
remember where she
postcard.
got the postcard. It might have
Mm-hmm.
been at the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jeff would never have known she was in rehab.
No, maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't
Only Ty
know.
knew where she was
Yeah.
because Ty was footing the bill.
Yeah. So they come up on Walter and Kevin, and Jeff sends Callie away. He's like, "You go look for your mother. I'm going to handle this."
Mhm.
Jeff walks in, arms up, just like we knew he was going to do. And he
Mhm.
says, "Take me away. I did it. I killed Adam Martin. It was a crime of passion. I found out about Shauna. I didn't know what to do." And he's like crying, and this is blah blah blah. All of
He
a
was
sudden,
going for his Oscar reel.
Kevin just hits the floor.
You just confessed your life to a dying man. Good job.
Yep. And Walter comes out and says he gave him some phenobarbital in that
As you
cocoa.
do.
As you
As you
do.
do.
They have a lot of that shit. I don't know where
Well,
they're getting it.
they have a whole farm.
Oh, true.
And that Lottie did say they use it to euthanize animals when they're suffering.
That's true. That's true.
Still seems like a
So
lot, but okay.
Jeff panics and Walter comes out and introduces himself and talks him down.
Mhm.
And he's like, help me move this body. So they do. Now, in Lottie's room, God is alive, magic is afoot plays. And let me tell you, I've never heard this song before.
Okay.
I've never heard Buffy St. Marie. Never heard of
Okay.
her. But I knew just from the word afoot that this was something to do with Leonard Cohen.
I love that you knew that because I did not.
I told my
And I love
husband
me some
last
Leonard
night.
Cohen, but
I know. I told my husband last time, like, when I heard God is alive, magic is afoot, I'm like, this is a Leonard Cohen song. Like, no one else would talk like this.
that's true.
At first, though, I thought it was a Leonard Cohen song.
Right.
And
Yeah, it
it's
was a
not.
poem that
It is,
she
yeah. So I just have a little bit here about Buffy St. Marie. I don't know, like, how much you know about her, but I knew nothing about her.
Mhm.
It's a 1969 song by Buffy St. Marie, and it's an interpretation of a Leonard Cohen poem from his 1966 novel, Beautiful Losers, which is so philosophical, I can't even begin to understand it. Like, this
Okay.
is
I've
where
never read it.
I kind of lose. Like,
Got it.
it's like a discussion or an argument between three different like philosophical figures, and it's just really hard to
Okay.
follow.
It's hard to keep track of. Got it.
Yes, but I didn't know much about her. So what I wanted to share with you is, okay, so Buffy St. Marie released 14 albums.
Mhm. She was
And
really prolific and really a part of the
The anti-war movement.
The anti-war folk music movement. Yeah, and she was a I want to say protester. She was an activist.
Yes, she was. Yeah. So she signed with Vanguard Records, and they released It's My Way in 1964. The album included Universal Soldier, and she has said that song is about individual responsibility for war and how the old feudal thinking kills us all. Though not a hit for St. Marie, it was years later for British singer Donovan. Mm-hmm. And then the song was popular as a peace anthem in the anti-Vietnam War movement. And It's My Way also featured codeine, which St. Marie wrote after becoming addicted to codeine while recovering from bronchitis. And that song was later covered by Janis Joplin. And I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's one of those people that wrote a lot of music that other people covered and made more popular.
Yes.
Interesting. She was a codeine addict. I love the codeine cough syrup.
I like codeine too. I mean,
we call that, my father and I call that the magic cough syrup, because it solves every problem when you're sick.
Yes. Well, and here's the thing about her. So she was blacklisted by LBJ and Nixon, of course. But she's still around. She's still writing frequently about Indigenous issues. Mm-hmm. She did a whole thing about missing Indigenous women in Canada. Mm-hmm. She's Canadian.
Yeah. I was going to say, I knew she was an Indigenous woman, and I thought she was Canadian.
Yep. So she's still out there, and she's still doing this awesome stuff. She was on Sesame Street in 1975 to 1980, and she actually breastfed her baby on Sesame Street.
I don't remember that. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was watching Sesame Street in real time during those times, but I certainly wasn't gonna.
Yep.
That wasn't gonna hit my radar at 3.
So, I mean, I just think she's a really cool woman.
She's a badass.
If you guys get a chance, like, look her up. Like, Steph and I are covering Love and Death, and Carole King was brought up, and I love Carole King. And I'm always like, my favorite Carole King song is when she does that cover of the Shirelles' Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow? And I looked up, I'm like, oh, she wrote that for the Shirelles.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. She wrote a ton of these songs.
Carole King is one of those people that wrote a ton of music that a lot of other people covered.
Willie Nelson wrote a ton of songs.
Willie Nelson, Burt Bacharach, obviously. Like, there are these people who made almost all their... our beloved Barry Manilow.
Yes.
Wrote a ton of music for other people and paid his bills real early on with almost every jingle you remember from the 70s.
Yes. Yeah, and then you look at like Elvis Presley, he didn't write any. He wrote one song.
He only wrote one song?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Song. It was for his mother. Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Wow. There are some people who are just performers. They're not writers.
I agree. Yep.
I mean, it's like,
and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, no. Whatever. But
there's a reason we have Bernie Taupin and Elton John. Anytime Elton John tries to write a lyric, it ain't good. Yes. It ain't good.
Yes. Okay. So back to our show. So Todd calls this hospital, and she cancels the crisis team. And she tells them, we'll bring Lottie in on our own. We've calmed her down a little bit. She's not out in the woods trying to hunt her friends. We're going to bring her in.
But she is, but okay.
So then they all gather around the fire. And Shauna asks Misty, like, how long is it going to take for this team to get here? And Misty says, I don't know. We told them it was urgent. And Nat goes, we? Who's we, Misty? And then Lottie shows up, so they're all quiet. So, I wrote the most disgusting, vile thing.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this then.
I wrote Lottie shows up and is all gooshing over this.
Oh, she is. She is like in a fit of ecstasy over the fact that they're getting to do this again.
We're currently rewatching Archer, so I use goosh all the time.
Okay. I've never watched Archer. I mean, I've seen bits and pieces, but I've never been a consistent watcher.
That's their
her basement is flooding over this, as some have been known to say.
Yes, it is. So meanwhile, Callie is in the woods with Jeff's gun and comes face to face with Pornstache. Pornstache, realizes she has a gun and the situation is getting really tense when all of a sudden he gets a call from, quote, Kevin, air quotes, Kevin.
God.
But really it's Walter and Jeff doing something with Kevin's phone to make it sound like he's in distress and to lure Pornstache to him.
This was so janky. It made me laugh.
Loved it.
And the fact that he fell for it.
Walter and Misty together can rule the world.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's scary. Lottie gets the cards ready, and Shauna wants to shuffle them a bit more. And Ty tries to get Lottie to talk, and Van seems to be on Lottie's side with this. What are your thoughts here?
Van was being real weird about this, the fact that she wanted to call off the crisis team.
Yep.
And you see, like, in the woods, and we'll talk about the final scene, but you see, like, Van is really turning. This whole Javi thing really changed her.
Yeah, like she was my favorite skeptic.
Mm-hmm.
And now
Mm-hmm.
she's
And now
buying
she
into
is
all this shit.
drinking it up like it is her job.
Yeah, it's really weird. All right, so Van goes first. She gets a regular card. Ty hesitates, and Lottie says, "Are you refusing the draw? Because you know
Mm.
what happens if you do."
So they've got so
So
many
they've
rules
got
around
rules.
this.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I wonder if Pit Girl refused the draw.
Probably. Or she
Mm.
chose to run,
She
because
chose to run.
you could choose to submit.
Right.
So Misty and Shauna get nothing cards, and it goes round and round, and nobody gets the queen. Round 2. They keep going until finally Shauna draws the Queen of Hearts. And Lottie says to her, like, "Do you want to submit or do you want to run?" Oh, wait, first they all get their masks on. And Shauna's
Right.
going, "Come on, guys, wait a minute here.
Right.
Wait, guys,
Whoa, whoa,
wait."
whoa. I mean, this was a nice idea. I enjoyed the revisit of our childhood
Yes,
memories.
yes.
We don't have to go back there.
And then we get this pan on them. And they're all standing there in their masks. And it's kind of haunting because nobody's saying anything. It's like they're
Mm.
gone.
Yeah, they are now in a different
Yes.
mindset.
And
It's
Lottie
like those
says,
masks make them lose, I don't want to say make them lose their humanity, but it lets them be different people. So they can kind of
yeah,
divorce
yeah,
themselves
yep,
from
they're
what
hiding.
they are doing.
Hmm. So, Lottie says, "You can submit or you can run." And then again, Shauna goes, "Okay, timeout."
Right. Whoa,
Which
whoa,
I love
whoa.
a good timeout.
I do
There are
too. Like,
times I just want to take a timeout from things. Timeout. Wait, girls, we're fighting. Timeout.
right. Let's
Yeah.
breathe for a
Hmm.
moment.
Hmm.
Shauna needs them all to breathe for about 5 minutes because she needs to figure out how to get out of this.
We have a worldwide pandemic. Timeout. I just
Time
want
out.
timeout.
Right.
Okay.
Can we stop the planet for a moment? Let's pretend like this isn't happening. Let's make a plan and then we can come back.
So she's like, "We're not really doing this, are we?" And none of them say a word.
They're doing it.
And then she goes, "Okay, so you've all officially lost your minds, right?" And then she goes, there was no it, right? It was just us." And Lottie
Hmm.
goes, "Is there a difference?"
Yeah.
And Shauna starts running. Now, if you remember weeks ago, I said to you, I don't think there's anything supernatural. I think it is what it is on the surface.
Hmm.
And that they just have so much ritualistic shit that
Right.
they're a bunch of teenage girls, and of course they're making everything seem
Bigger than it is.
bigger than it is. And I wonder if this is a hint to that. Like, I wonder if the it is death. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And it
Yeah.
found us, it's here. We have to feed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
I
mean,
don't
and
know.
death is coming for all of us, and death is in all of us.
Yes.
None of us are getting out of here alive. So we
Speak for
the moment
yourself.
the moment we're born, we're growing to die. Like,
Yeah.
it's a very strange thing, but I loved how Melanie Linsky is like, okay, yeah, we'll pretend like we're doing
Yeah.
this this chase, and she's like, okay, I'm walking. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're old lady walking through the woods. I'm with you. And then she's like, oh shit, they're actually coming after me. I
And
might
she
need to run
starts to like
here.
jog.
Jog.
That would be me.
I know. I'd be like tripping over
Oh,
tree
me too.
limbs and
I'd
stuff.
be
I'd be
on the
on my
ground
face in a
crying.
minute.
Yeah.
Yes,
Hmm.
begging them not to kill me.
So now we see Porn Stash. He's at his car. He hears Kevin's phone ringing in the trunk. He
Hmm.
pops the trunk open, and as he does, Walter comes up behind him like a little gremlin. He grabs his gun. He shoots
Why did he
Kevin in the
shoot
trunk
him?
because he had to make it look like Porn Stash shot him.
Okay, that makes sense then. Okay, yeah. I
Yeah,
was
because
like,
Porn Stash,
because
like,
he's already dead.
because he's dead, but Porn Stash wouldn't have poisoned him.
True,
So
true,
it
true,
had to
true.
look like he was dead by Porn Stash's
And
hands.
if he's shot 17 times, they're not going to autopsy him to find the phenobarbital.
Correct. Correct. So Walter offers Porn Stash an out. He says, "We're going to frame Kevin for the murder of Adam Martin and Jessica Roberts, or all of his bank," because he's like, I guess Walter has set all of his bank accounts and phone records to make it look like Kevin has been in on this and it has been this
Hmm.
whole thing. And he's like, "So if you don't accept this narrative," I love how he goes, "It's called a narrative. Can we just yay or nay it a little bit, or yes and a little bit?"
Yes. Coming back to improv, yes, we need to be yes-anding a bit more.
I'm gonna start using that. Can we just yes and a little bit?
Right.
So he goes, and if you aren't up for this, all this evidence could point to you. No
Mhm.
problem.
You
Porn,
choose.
Pornstache is just like, I loved seeing Pornstache get his. Fuck
Mhm.
you, dude.
I know. I'm
So
only I like it because he was much more corruptible than Kevin, so it had to be that way.
yes,
That said, I'm really sad that Pornstache didn't get killed.
me
I
too.
really would have preferred the other way.
Pornstache is back to haunt us next season.
I know, we're never gonna lose him. Ugh.
So we hear sirens, and Walter's like, "Oh, by the way, I did call the police, so you should shut that trunk until you decide what you want to do."
Mhm.
Cut to oh, and Jeff sees all this from the
Yeah.
woods, hiding behind a tree. So cut to Shauna running for her life, and all of a sudden there's a gunshot, and Callie threatens to shoot Lottie.
Mhm.
Now I watched this 10 times. It looks
Okay.
like Callie winged Lottie. There's no
Mm.
blood, there's no injury, but Lottie does grab it.
Yeah.
So it looks like the bullet may have just very, like, real close
It
grazed
did
her.
do some sort of injury because in a little bit you see the paramedics.
Yeah, but there's no, like, significant blood.
No,
No.
she's not in danger of bleeding out and losing an arm or anything.
Mm-mm. Nope. So Lottie says, so they're all, like, in this clearing. And Lottie says, "Shh, it's here with us now." And then
Mhm.
she's like, "Is this your daughter?" She's real fascinated with Callie. "Is
Right.
this your daughter? She's powerful."
She's like
Mhm.
I
And
in
Shauna's
my
going,
brain
"Give
I
me
was
the gun,
thinking
Callie. Give me the gun."
right. In my brain I'm thinking, does Lottie now see Callie as like the embodiment of the baby in the wilderness coming through and like Shauna having more children and these children coming out of I don't know. I
I
was
don't
trying
know,
to like
the way she just there was
she
something,
was stopped in her tracks.
and we saw a little bit of this at the end when you see Callie staring at Lottie, and
Mhm.
Shauna looks at Callie and is like, "Hmm, why are you
What
staring
is
at her?"
happening here? Yeah.
Yeah. So, Shauna says, "Where is the psych team?" And Ty says, "We called them off. It was Van's idea."
And Van's like, "Really? You're selling me out like this?"
And Van says, "She is like this because of us." And then Lottie starts going, "Everyone listen. What do we hear?" Okay, so
Mhm.
now we cut back. We're gonna do this end scene here because
Yes.
it's intersplice. So
Yeah.
in 1996, we see young Lottie stumble downstairs and everyone hugs her. The girls seem relaxed and they ask Van to tell them a story because their bellies are full now. So they're
Mhm.
like, "Van, will you tell us a
They're
story?"
like they're feeling great.
With the 1 million candles they have burning inside this cabin that
Right.
they seem to have an endless supply of.
Right. The well-stocked cabin coming for him again.
So Van tells them a story about the wilderness.
I
It
love that
was,
they asked about the truth about cats and dogs.
I know, I love it too. Was that Janine Garofalo?
Sure was.
Yes.
I love that movie.
So she's like, "It was beautiful, it was full of life, but it was also lonely and violent." And we see Coach outside. He's come to take a few supplies. So
Mhm.
he takes an axe, and then we see him stumble upon some matches, and we see a rope in his hand.
Yeah.
So there's a rope in his hand. He has a box of matches because he's been trying to light a fire and couldn't.
He kind of
So,
the way you describe it kind of sounds like he's on playing Clue as well.
yes,
It's
yes.
Coach. It's Coach
Coach.
in the tree pit with an axe and a knife or axe and matches and rope.
So Van's story continues. The wilderness built a house. Summers came, winters came. Lottie blurts out, "I never want to be in charge. It chose me because I'm the only one who knew how to listen. But I
Mhm.
can't hear it anymore. And it doesn't need me anymore. You've all learned how to hear it, how to feel it. Maybe now what it wants from us is a leader who can help us survive. And
Right.
that isn't me." And Lottie says, and there's like this tense moment, like, who's going to get chosen?
And you could see all of well, not all of them. You can see Shauna like
Mm-hmm.
perk up and Misty perk up. Like
Yes. Yep. And Lottie says, "The wilderness has chosen who could lead us, and it should
mhm.
be Natalie." And everybody's like, "What? Natalie?"
And Natalie's just
Mm-hmm.
sobbing
Mm-hmm.
silently.
Mm-hmm. And it makes sense. I mean, they were going to kill her, and the wilderness spared her, literally.
Exactly, and she was the one who was always hunting even though she was never successful. Like,
Yep.
in a
Yep.
lot of ways, she is a she's a stronger person than Lottie is.
Yes, I agree. I agree. So in current time, we see the women and Misty's like tying Lottie up. And Lottie is insisting that it's in all of us. It's in all of us. And she just keeps going on and on. Natalie goes to strike her, and Lisa shows up with a shotgun. Dun, dun, dun.
Lisa, you should have gotten the hell out while you could, girl.
Back to 1996. Lottie says, how else do we explain everything that happened out there? Nat, we tried to kill you and it wouldn't let us. And then she has, and this reminded me so much of the end of The Godfather. Do you remember? When Michael Corleone, are you a fan?
I'm not a huge Godfather fan.
Michael Corleone finally accepts that he's taking his father's place. And you see him in his father's office, and all of these men are coming in and kissing his hand and kissing his ring. And his wife, what's her name? Oh, fuck. I forget her name. It's a what's her name, but it's really not. And she's there and she sees him and she's seeing it and she's like, oh, okay. And I feel like this is a very similar scene.
It is.
Everybody is kissing Nat's hand. They're all coming up and Coach is seeing this. Yeah.
And he's got to be like, what on earth is happening in there?
What is her name? Oh, I got to look it up. Okay. Her name is Kay. She is played by Diane Keaton.
Diane Keaton, okay.
All right. So her name is, we looked it up because it was bothering me so much.
Right. And Diane Keaton is in fact not a what's her name.
She's not a what's her name, and that's all on me. I'm so sorry. Okay. Okay. All right. It just reminds me of that scene, and it's really like a shift in power.
It was. And it was a very powerful scene. And to see how each of the young women kissed the ring in their own way, you know, big flourishes, holding hands to hearts.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now that song Killing Moon plays, and I don't know it.
Yes. It's so perfect.
Okay. So in current time, Lisa's hysterical. And she thinks that they're going to hurt Lottie, and she's trying to, defend
Protect
Lottie.
your cult leader at all costs.
Protect your cult leader at all costs.
Yeah. So
Lottie says, no, Lisa's hysterical. Nat tries to calm her down. Misty pulls out a syringe. Yeah. And she goes to attack Lisa. Now, I have a question. Why wouldn't you just have in that syringe like something to knock somebody out?
Right. Why do we need to kill somebody?
Right.
I think we just want to I think what my guess is what Misty's plan was what I would have thought her plan was to somehow subdue Lottie, get her down.
Yes.
So we can then tie her up and send her to the loony bin.
Correct.
We're trying to diffuse the situation. I don't feel like there was any reason to go straight to the needle of phenobarbital.
I agree. It
felt weird.
Felt weird. So Nat sees in this moment the events of 1996 happening. Her drawing the card, them chasing her, Javi going in her place. And she does not want to be that person again. She doesn't want Lisa to die in her place.
Nope.
So she jumps between them, and Misty gets Nat. Ugh. And Nat starts to die in Misty's arms, and she sees herself on an empty airplane while Radiohead's Street Spirit Fade Out plays, which is the perfect song for this. Just anything Radiohead. Yes, thank you.
Would have been perfect for this. Yes. Agreed.
Nat is, dying. It's not good. Misty cries. Nat dies in her arms. On this empty plane, Julia...
I want to talk about this plane.
Juliette Lewis is doing some of her best acting here. Javi's on the plane with her.
Of course.
He says, there's nothing to be afraid of. She says, I'm not supposed to be here. In one of the best written lines ever, young Nat appears next to her. And she says, that's not true. We both know this is where you belong. We've been here for years.
Right.
And the lyrics are going, fade out. It's perfect. It's perfect.
It's so good.
Young Lottie's on the plane. And she says...
Lottie's on the plane. I want to talk about that.
Young Lottie is on the plane. And says, it's not evil, just hungry. Like us. Just let it in. Yeah, why is young Lottie on the plane?
Right. And you had this theory of what if this isn't the Lottie? What if older Lottie isn't the Lottie?
I did.
Which almost made me think, what if What if Pit Girl is Lottie?
Yeah. Yeah. And then who is this person? They just
No,
keep
except we
making.
do see her come out of the wilderness and her parents and stuff. No, Pit Girl can't be
Okay,
Lottie.
she can't be Pit Girl, but
Because her parents would have recognized her.
something happened because they keep
Yes.
talking about how she was gone.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
She disappeared for 10 years. Misty missed it. Misty misses nothing and lost Lottie for 10 years.
Yeah.
They all thought she was just
Yep.
in a facility in Switzerland.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're right. Everybody on that. Well, yeah. Everybody on that plane's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Okay.
wonder.
So now we cut to sirens. The cops call it in as a drug overdose. Everyone watches as medical people take Lottie away. Misty sobs as Walter tells her, "I took care of it." And she cries and she says, "I killed my best friend." And they hug and he hugs her real tight, like
Mm-hmm.
absorbing no sobs. I
Yes,
love a good
yes.
hug.
I love a good hug when I'm
Mm-hmm.
crying. It's so
Mm-hmm.
good.
So Jeff comes and he hugs Shauna and gives an awkward pat on the back to his daughter, which
Right.
was real weird.
Yeah. Good
Poor.
good job, honey. I don't know how to touch you. Which is weird given the previous episode he like pulled her into his arms as he was telling her about
Yeah.
her dead brother.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Porn Stash, of course, took the deal and turned on Kevin. Of course. Because he's a scumbag.
It's gross.
So Ty comes over to Lottie and she says to her, "You're going away for a little while. We'll check on you." And Lottie says, "We gave it what we wanted. It is pleased with us. You'll see."
Same
We'll
thing
talk
that
about that
Misty
in a minute.
the same thing that Misty said Lottie said.
Yep.
Which she never said.
Yep. Callie looks almost delighted and she's staring at Lottie and Shauna looks at her and is like, this might be a problem.
Are we doing some transference here of
what's going on?
Weirdness? That's the thing that makes me think, okay, this might be something that isn't just in them. Because it did sort of feel like Lottie was transferring this to Callie.
I think Lottie, though, can be a very, she's a cult leader.
She's very charismatic. She's convincing.
Very magnetic person.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, she's charismatic. She's whatever. And I think Callie's just like, wow.
You know? Right. Yeah. She's everything her mother's not.
Yes.
In her eyes.
Yes. Yep.
So
now in 1996, Shauna, I feel seen here, is angrily writing in her journal, which is something Amye Archer did all the time. And in lunch classes, I was sitting by myself. I'd be like, "These bitches."
Which is basically what Shauna was like. These bitches.
I told you I went to that school where everybody had money and was like a rich bitch, and I was like the weird poet girl. So I was always. So she writes. She's writing that it should have been her that was chosen to be the leader, and she writes this line where she says, "I used to think it was Jackie who made me invisible." And we don't see the rest of that sentence.
Yeah.
And then suddenly she smells something and she starts screaming and the cabin is on fire. And Shauna wakes everybody up, but there's something blocking the doors. They can't open them. One door, right? They can't open the door. I had a few issues with this scene. Number one, they probably would have been passing out by now from smoke inhalation, but whatever. So Ty chops through the door with an axe. They grab everything they can, and then they go out. There's a real weird scene where Van says to Ty, "You go, I'll be right there." But then we don't see what she does, and she comes out right after her. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
And then they sit there and they watch in the snow as the cabin burns and Killing Moon by Echo and the Bunnymen plays. And they cry. And that's it. That's the end of season 2.
Okay, let's talk about the cabin burning down.
Okay. You know how you get rid of a hive of Yellowjackets, right?
You burn the
nest.
Mm-hmm. Or, as I had to do once, a bit of basically napalm in the ground, but you burn the nest.
Do we think Coach set the fire? Let's talk about this.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I think they want us to think he did. But I don't think that he has it in him. I mean, this is somebody who can't even... He's starving to death and can't even bring himself to eat a piece of a human that died of natural causes, Jackie. And yet he's going to kill like 10 teenage girls.
Right. But at the same time, if he has now watched all of this evilness, regardless of how we feel about any of it, but from his perspective, you can tell he's looking at this like, these bitches have become real evil and I don't know what to do now.
Yeah.
Watching all of that happen, he might really believe the only way to stop them is to kill them. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't think it fits with this character though, because
No.
I think he's found a place to hide out.
Mhm.
He's good. Why would he come back and do this? I don't
Right.
know. I just feel like it's real out of character.
It, the whole thing felt very strange.
Like
Did,
it's a leap to go
it
from I
is.
can't eat that person to I'm going to kill all of you.
Right. I'm going to light your house on fire and let you all burn to death.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. And now I'm desperately worried about them being in the wilderness for another year
Yeah.
ish.
And you know what's going to happen. Nat's going to be like, Coach said there's a place. So now we got to
They're all
find
going to
it.
go live in the
Mhm.
tree pit. I don't know.
Yeah.
And how big is that space? Do we have enough room for all these people?
Do you think this was a fitting ending? Do you feel like it was
It felt weird.
felt weird? Felt
It
quick.
felt it felt quick and weird.
Mhm.
Um as much as the present day felt quick, it didn't feel as weird
Mhm. Mhm.
as this felt.
Yeah. And I want to say too, like, and we'll talk more about this when we do our season 2 wrap up, but one of the storylines I think that's going to happen is I think Van's cancer is going to go away.
I was wondering that if like
Mhm.
somehow the wilderness spare, taking that could
Mhm.
spare them from other stuff. I don't know.
Right. And now is Van going to buy into this?
I mean, if Van's cancer goes away
Mhm.
and I'm sitting in her shoes, I'd be like, there's something supernatural happening here because I should be dead.
But aren't we going to see some crazy fallout? So imagine if like one of our state senators was found
Right.
at a cult
And a murder
where
cult.
a woman was murdered. And like what?
And a police officer.
Yes. Yes.
And now what's going to happen to all these cult members? Because they're going to be wandering through the woods
Right.
looking for their next cult.
Right.
They're going to be children of the corning it out in the
And we didn't
wilderness.
see Lisa react to Nat's death.
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Hmm.
It's
So
all
anyway,
really interesting, but there we end.
there we end. I do have a what I loved. I don't know if
Okay.
you have one prepared. But I just felt the music in this episode was
Yeah, that's my what I
amazing.
loved. It was so
Yeah,
perfect.
it was so perfect. I mean, another thing I want to talk about is why would you pick a 1960s war protest song for the middle of this episode?
Mm. I
When
don't know, but it fit.
literally every other song has been from the 90s.
Yeah. I don't
Why
know
that
why, but
one?
it fit.
It did fit, but I
Yeah.
feel like it's intentional,
Yeah. I don't
and I
know.
don't know why.
Yeah. I don't know why either. But that's a really good point because almost all of the music in it has been from the 90s. Even the stuff they're listening to in current day.
Yes. Like
Jeff in his car with fuck the police.
they could have found something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't know. If they want a protest song, they could do some "fuck you, I won't do what you tell me" or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You could get some, what's her
It
bucket? Liz Fair protest
Yeah, it
anthem.
was just weird. It was like there's a reason they did that,
Mm-hmm.
and I
And it's
don't know
so
what it
obscure.
is. It's super obscure.
Like
I
if they
don't know.
brought in like Crosby, Stills, Nash, like at least you, even though you may not know the song, you'd be like, I know who those people are. I
Of
know that
course,
voice.
100%.
You didn't
Of
know
course, I
her.
would know my Crosby, Stills and Nash. Hello.
Same girl. Love
Yes.
them. Um, I don't know. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see
I mean, the song
what comes
itself
of
is
that.
about, what is real and what isn't, and is God
Mm-hmm.
more powerful than magic, and this whole, philosophical battle between what we know and what we don't know. But
Which is
like
completely appropriate, but still time wrong.
completely appropriate. But yeah, there's a reason they gave us that song. I just don't know
Mm-hmm.
what it is.
Yeah.
And it was all centered around Lottie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Lottie ain't real, guys. All right. So what I didn't love was I felt like everything was just wrapped up a little too neatly.
Yeah. I felt that way too.
Like, so that was the whole Adam Martin thing? Why did we even
We're
need that
done?
storyline?
Right.
Yeah, it was
Right.
weird. Mhm.
Yeah. It just is too tight of a bow
Mhm. Mhm.
and too fast.
Mhm. Okay, anything else?
I don't think so. We will come back next week, have our full season recap, maybe special guests, and then we'll find another show.
We don't know how we want to keep this from you guys, but Juliette Lewis is going to be on next week.
Wouldn't that be amazing? That would be amazing. Actually, I prefer Melanie Lynskey just because I like to hear her speak in her actual accent.
Yes, I agree.
like to hear her actual New Zealand accent.
All right, guys. If you haven't already, check out our Facebook group.
Woo woo!
We're starting to get some friends.
We're starting to get some activity though. We're chatting about things.
Yeah.
Soon we'll be talking about our sleep bras and things like that.
Yes,
you know, these things take a life of their own.
They really do, and we need to decide what our next show is going to be, and we'll have that decided, and we'll announce it next week.
Perfect.
In the meantime, guys, keep checking out Steph and I covering Love and Death. So that's
great. I'm enjoying both the show and your recaps of it.
It's a great show.
It is. The music is freaking fantastic.
No, that's David E. Kelly money. I mean, he can get whatever.
Yeah, he's got the rights to all the music. He is not searching the internet for royalty-free songs.
Like someone on this podcast. So check out our Facebook group. It's in the show notes. So just go to the show notes and click and subscribe and follow us and
leave us a review, please.
I need to appeal to my friend Megan out there. Megan with an H. You know who you are. Left me this glowing review and I loved it. It was so sweet. With 3 stars.
Megan.
And I was like, these are real mixed messages.
I need clarity in people's love for me. I don't understand what's happening here. Oh my God.
So, 3 stars to me is like, I'm lukewarm about this, but then there was this glowing review. So I don't know what's happening.
3 stars is I'll take you. I'll leave you. It's fine.
Yeah. Anyway, leave us a review. Do what you can. And we really, really appreciate it. And Amanda, tell everyone where they can find you.
The Instagram's best place, Amanda Lipnack. I know you link it in the show notes, so we're good there. More cat pictures coming almost daily.
Yay. And follow the show at Little Miss Recap on Instagram. And I'm at Amye Archer Writer on Instagram. And I don't do Twitter. I have my handle there, but I'm not getting on that nightmare. And again, follow us on Facebook. All right. I guess that's it. So we'll see you guys next week. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks, everyone. See you soon.
Bye.